There's a moment almost no one talks about, not the moment during, but the moment after. You're lying in bed. Your skin still remembers the touch, but your soul feels missing. You stare at the ceiling, and suddenly, it's not passion you feel. It's absence, not warmth, but a quiet ache you can't name. You wonder, why do I feel emptier after being so close? You don't know how to explain it. You might even blame yourself. Was it the wrong partner? Was it guilt? Was it hormones? But what if I told you it's not any of that? What if the emptiness you feel isn't a failure, but a signal? A whisper from the part of you that's always been ignored. The part that doesn't want to be touched, but to be seen. To be chosen not for your body, but for your essence. Carl Jung said, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. But sex, when misaligned, doesn't just distract from the soul, it silences it. In today's video, we're going to explore why so many women feel disconnected after sex, the hidden emotional wound modern intimacy often leaves behind, and how that silent ache might actually be the beginning of a spiritual reawakening. By the end of this video, you'll understand why your body isn't broken, why that post-intimacy emptiness isn't weakness. It's intelligence. It's your soul asking you to come home. If this has ever been your experience, leave a comment below. You are not alone. And if this resonates, subscribe to the channel. Because here, we don't run from the truth. We walk into it. Let's begin. Number 1, the moment after, when the body closes and the soul opens. It's a strange thing, how you can be fully touched, and yet feel completely untouched. You shared skin. You gave warmth. You opened physically. But after it all ends, there's a silence. Not in the room, but inside you. A silence that doesn't feel peaceful. It feels hollow. Some women cry after sex. Not because of trauma. Not because anything went wrong. But because something inside didn't feel met. Carl Jung might say this is the moment when the soul begins to protest. When it refuses to keep exchanging the body for a substitute of connection, because what you gave wasn't truly received, and what you received wasn't truly meant for you. So many women live this moment in secret. They feel wrong for feeling numb, or guilty for not feeling satisfied. They keep hoping the next time will be different, that maybe with more chemistry, more love, more time, the emptiness will go away. But it doesn't. Because the ache isn't physical, it's archetypal. This is not about the act. It's about the disconnection between the act and the soul. You're not cold. You're not broken. You're awakening because your body remembers when it was touched for love, but your soul only opens when it feels truth. And in that quiet moment after sex, when you feel yourself drifting further away from the person lying next to you, it's not detachment. It's the self pulling you back, asking you to return to where real connection begins, not between bodies, but between essence and presence. Let that moment of discomfort speak, because it's not emptiness, it's the beginning of memory, and the soul remembers everything. Number 2, false intimacy versus true connection. When touch becomes performance, there's a kind of intimacy that looks like closeness, but feels like distance. You laugh, you flirt, you undress, you go through all the motions that are supposed to mean connection, but something never arrives. Because intimacy is not just what your body does, it's what your essence allows. And when that essence is wearing a mask, the connection becomes performance. Carl Jung called it the persona, the image we put on to be loved, accepted, desired. It's the cool girl who says she's fine with casual, when what she really wants is to be cherished. It's the woman who moans on cue, not because she feels pleasure, but because she's afraid of disappointing someone. And the more you perform connection, the more disconnected you become from yourself. False intimacy creates this unbearable paradox. You feel lonelier in bed than you do alone, because the moment you're touched, you realize how untouched you truly are. The body says yes, but the soul whispers no. And that's why after sex, You feel like you lost something. Not virginity, not power, but presence. Because your persona was loved, but your true self remained unseen. Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But how can you become when you're constantly performing? This is why the soul goes silent. Why sex begins to feel hollow. Because your inner world is tired of being traded for 5 minutes of feeling wanted. So you begin to pull away, not out of coldness, but out of necessity. The truth is, you were never afraid of intimacy. You were afraid of being fully seen and not being chosen. But the only real intimacy is the one where the mask falls and the real you remains. And if they leave after that, then they never loved you, only your performance. Number 3, the Jungian shadow of female sexuality. When women don't know what they're really seeking. Why do you crave touch? That leaves you colder afterward? Why do you return to lovers who know how to touch your skin, but not your soul? Carl Jung called this the work of the shadow, the hidden, repressed part of the psyche that we deny, suppress, and project onto others. For many women, sexuality is not just a biological impulse. It's a story, a narrative written by culture, shame, unmet needs, and longing. She learns early on that desire makes her powerful, but also dangerous. That craving intimacy is okay, as long as she doesn't ask for too much. That being wanted means being worthy, even if it costs her peace. So she silences her soul and lets the shadow drive. The shadow says, if I'm desired, I'm safe. If he stays the night, I'm lovable. If he wants my body, maybe he'll see my heart. But it never works, because the body cannot substitute for recognition. And pleasure never fills a place where truth was meant to be. Jung wrote, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So she keeps repeating the cycle, lying in beds that don't feel like home, touching bodies that can't hold her truth, and wondering why sex leaves her feeling less. But here's the shift. That ache after sex isn't punishment. It's awakening. It's the shadow being exposed, begging to be integrated, not exiled. It's your psyche saying, you don't need to be used to feel useful. You don't need to be desired to feel whole. You don't need to be chosen to matter. The moment you stop using sex to avoid facing yourself is the moment you begin to return to the truth of what you're really seeking. Not another body, but a mirror, a reflection, a presence that says, I see you, and means it. Number 4, projection, persona, and inner betrayal. Why you keep choosing what hurts you. You keep choosing the same kind of man, different face, same wound, the one who makes you feel seen, but only for a moment, the one whose words intoxicate you, but whose silence breaks you, the one who awakens your body, but leaves your soul starving. Why? Carl Jung gave us the answer in one word: projection. We don't see people as they are. We see them as we are. We cast unconscious parts of ourselves onto others, especially in love. You project your need to be validated onto men who don't know how to value you. You project your longing to be protected onto men who abandon you. You project your inner father wound onto men who punish your vulnerability. You call it chemistry, but it's actually recognition of an old pattern wearing a new disguise. The truth, it's not that he hurts you. It's that part of you needed him to mirror the pain you still carry. Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. So when you find yourself feeling rejected, unseen, unwanted, ask, what part of me am I still rejecting? What emotion have I made unsafe within myself? What truth am I too afraid to own? So I let someone else show it to me through suffering? And here's the real betrayal. It's not what others do to you. It's what you do to yourself. When you stay in places that insult your essence, the persona, the mask you wear to survive, keeps saying, if I'm good enough, he'll stay. If I'm sexy enough, he'll see me. If I'm easy to love, he won't leave. But love doesn't live in masks. It lives in truth. And the longer you betray yourself to feel chosen, the more you'll bleed silently. Every time you share your body with someone who never earned your soul, it's time to see with new eyes, not who they are, but who you've been to yourself. Because once you stop projecting your wounds onto men who reflect them, you'll finally make space for someone who reflects your wholeness. Number 5, the return to self. When emptiness becomes a portal, what if the emptiness you feel isn't a void, but a doorway? What if that ache after intimacy is not a failure, but an invitation to come home to yourself? We're taught to fear emptiness, to fill it with attention, with bodies, with love stories that cost too much, to run from silence, as if it means something is wrong. But Carl Jung saw it differently. He believed that what we call emptiness is often the beginning of individuation, the process where the soul begins to separate from the roles, personas, and patterns that once defined us. He wrote, "You are not what has happened to you. You are what you choose to become. And to become, you must first unbecome." So when your body feels hollow after sex, when you lie next to someone and feel further from yourself than ever, it's not shame you're feeling. It's separation. It's your soul showing you what no longer aligns, what no longer deserves access, what no longer echoes your truth. And if you're brave enough to stay in that silence, not fill it, not numb it, but listen to it, you will start to hear something else. A voice that does not beg to be wanted, a presence that does not panic in loneliness, a version of you that was never looking for someone else, but waiting for you to return. This is what Jung meant when he spoke of the self, the deepest, most unshakable center of who you are. The self doesn't crave attention. It craves integrity. It doesn't fear solitude. It thrives in it. And when you begin to meet yourself in that sacred stillness, sex no longer becomes a way to be validated. It becomes a conscious choice, rooted in presence, not performance. Because once you've come home to your soul, you'll never again give your body to someone who can't hold your truth. And that is when emptiness ends and embodiment begins. If you've made it this far, you already know that the emptiness was never the problem. It was the message, a whisper from your soul, saying, this is not where you belong. This is not what you were made for. And maybe for years, you confused desire for love, touch for presence, being wanted for being seen. But you're not alone, because many women have walked the same path, believing their worth was measured by the warmth of a man beside them instead of the warmth within them. You see, when sex is disconnected from the soul, it doesn't nourish, it drains. And that's why you've cried after pleasure. That's why you felt lonelier in someone's arms than in your own bed. Carl Jung said, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely, because it means letting go of every role, every mask, every story that said, if someone chooses me, then I matter. But now, you know better. You know the ache is not weakness. It's a sacred mirror. And the silence after sex was never abandonment. It was alignment, a realignment with yourself, with the version of you that no longer begs, performs, or settles. So tonight, turn off the noise, light a candle, sit with the ache, and ask yourself, when was the last time you touched someone with your soul? And let someone touch you without wearing your mask? That's where healing begins. Not by avoiding sex, but by remembering that your body is not a prize. It's a temple. And love, real love, will never ask you to abandon your soul, to feel close. If this spoke to you, leave a comment. Tell me where in your story you saw yourself. Like this video if it helped you remember who you are. Subscribe for more stories that speak where words usually don't. And until next time, stay with your truth, because your silence is sacred, and your soul has always been trying to come home.